Uh, Thanks, Mudita. Thanks a lot. So I will share my screen. Uh, can you please let me know whether it's visible? Yes. Thank you so much. And I think I'm audible enough. Thank you so much. Right. Thank you so much for providing me this opportunity to introduce this. Actually, a simple tool, but still, the magnitude of value of this can be even out of my mind at this particular moment, because I'm being also a fresh user, I would say, very novice user on this tool. I started using this like few months back, so I'm still at the infancy stage of using this tool, but I have seen remarkable work done by researchers, like every strata of the society, using this tool. So let me give my quick intro and also kind of a insight into why this can be useful for all our researchers, academic researchers, and also administrators as well as lecturers in short term and long term. So the whole story starts. Just one more thing to say, because now this is, I have to be very clear in the outset. This is a tool where you have to pay. So I have already paid, and but this is the thing. So even we have one account for whole SLIIT, that will be more than sufficient, because I'll try to explain how this can be used by one single person as well as multiple people. So multiple collaborators, because more the people in this tool, it will be better. So that's what I'm saying, because I have done it. So I have one particular graph I'll be very clear about in few minutes time. So you also can come in and experience this before, if you want to buy it. But I don't think you need to buy it, because in another research group we are writing a research grant at this particular moment using one particular graph. So I'll come to that. I think it doesn't make sense right now, so I'll first introduce you the tool, and we'll come back and explain how we can proceed with all these things. Right. So this whole concept of ROM research is looking into this idea of smart note taking. So actually, if you have read this book, there's a book called Smart Note Taking. So it's a very famous book. Yeah, how to take smart notes. Actually, if you want to find, there's a free copy in the internet as well. So this author called Sonke is very famous, and he wrote this book few years back, I believe. And the concepts of this one is heavily used in few different applications that came after. So as you can see, this is how to take smart notes, one simple technique to boost writing, learning, and thinking, especially thinking for students, academic, and whoever who is into this note taking things, journalists, even film producers, directors, whoever can use this. And this book, I have a copy. If you want, I can give it to you. One of the best books ever written on the subject. And thereafter, I think I have been saying about this Notion as well, very long time. So this is another tool actually which is very famous right now. So this also have that similar capabilities, but ROM research is like an extension of this, which is very specific in nature. So I will, if there's time permits, I'll give you a quick intro about Notion as well, people who are not really aware about Notion. Okay, so this is actually one of the starting points. At the same time, there was another guy. Let me take to the slides first. So that book, if possible, try to read it. And the second one is this one. Let me put it to full screen. So what you are seeing here is a concept, like a mental model developed by a person. This model is called second brain. So of course, like you might think, okay, why we need a second brain? The reason is now we use our primary brain to do a lot of things, obviously, and some of the things we take notes, right? So some of the places we take notes. We've been doing it in the school system, we'll be doing it in the university, and of course we are doing it as academics, researchers. So we have our notebooks, right? So, and we have maybe books written on the subject, or maybe even we keep digital notes. So only problem is knowledge for us will be coming from different mediums. So one of course would be paper documents. So you read books, like I explained, you can read that book, Smart Note Taking, and that can be knowledge to you. or you can listen to voice memos. Maybe it's your own voice memos, or maybe it's like a podcast or something like that. So these days these are like better ways of learning things quickly, right? Or maybe it can be book notes. I think I don't know how many of you are used to do this concept or technique called book highlighting. I used to do it for a long time. So we do book highlighting, especially in the non-fiction category, not the fiction category. සමහර කට්ටිය මම හිතන්නේ fiction category highlight කරනවා, which is good, right? So if you read something like Game of Thrones, there are so many things as lecturers we can extract and put it in our slides, you know, quote it in places, right? So highlighting is a great thing. I forgot to mention, anytime if something is not clear, please raise your questions. And of course, when it comes to digital books, if you're using Kindle, you know, Kindle has this feature of highlighting. Even other ebook readers, even PDF, even I know we have talked about Mendeley, like tools like Soreto, they have highlighting features, research papers especially, right? So and then of course text and also handwritten notes. So we can use apps like Notability, and there are several apps that we can use to do or take handwritten notes and then extract it. And screenshots and some files and web pages, photos. So these are the way how we can collect things. But the problem is, how do we store them? Right, so this is where the real problem comes. So normal way of doing this would be obviously to keep a structural cabinet-like file system. Those days, if you know, we use cabinets, right? මට මතකයි පුස්තකාලවල තියෙනවා මේ අර cabinet system එක. Right, so sit එකේ cabinet system එක තියෙනවා යම්කිසි දුරකට අපි normal storage වලදී. So you have to have cabinet system that of course you can use in your I would say file system as well. Let me show the cabinet system that I'm using. So if I go to my OneDrive, so what I do is I have a cabinet system where, so sorry about all this thing, but this is my cabinet system where I have one called projects. So whatever the projects that I'm doing, I can have a coding system as well if needed, 01 P1 something like that. So all the projects that I'm working with going in this project folder. And then if I have several areas in my life which I'm interested in, so as an example, I'm interested in say as an example writing, so all my writing stuff will go into this folder. And I'm doing bug bounty, so that will be going to this folder. So you can have multiple areas, so SLIT stuff here in this folder. And also I have resources. So again, resources are also related to the same areas. So nothing different, you know, it's the same areas, resources. So all my media files, video files, books, everything. So if I go to SLIT, so there will be several sections. Again, these are the cabinet system. So now, okay, so that I think you all understand that that's a perfect system. Rather than saving it here and there, having kind of a model system in your computer. It can be in your C drive, D drive, in your OneDrive, G drive, everywhere you have the same system. Even pen drive, you have the same system. It's easy to find it. So I'm not going to talk too much about it. The one that I'm using is called the para method. Projects, areas, resources, and there's another one called archive. So if I try to write it down, point options. Okay, the one that I'm using is called para. P is for projects, A is for areas, R is for resources, and there's another A called archive. So if there's anything that I'm not using, but I think maybe 10 years time I might need it, I'm not going to store it in the resources, I'm going to put it to the archive. So that is a very famous model. If you search, this is another model that we are using called para model. Very, very famous, right? But now this guy, there's a guy called Thiago. He's also a friend of Sonke, who wrote the book. So these guys argued a lot, not only them, but a lot of university professors also. Now this is not how we put things in the brain. මගේ ඔළුවේ නැහැ කවදාවත් projects, areas, resources කියලා එහෙම ගන්න නැහැ, right? So I think you all agree with me. So you can disagree at any time, right? So we can discuss then. So අපේ ඔළුවේ මං හිතන්නේ අපි මේ විදිහට share කරන්නේ නැහැ කිසිම දෙයක්. ඔළුව කියන්නේ හරි අමුතු model එකක්, neural network. අපි මේ neural network කරපු ගොඩක් කට්ටිය ඉන්නවා මෙතන. It's very different. අපේ section එකක් හොයාගන්න බෑ මේ slit එකේ information තියෙන්නේ මෙන්න මේ section එකේ එහෙම කියලා. ඒක හරි බෙදිච්ච system එකක් තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට files and folder system is no longer in our brain. Not no longer, but nowhere, you know, files and folders are not in the brain. එතකොට our brain activities and brain capacities are very different from what is stored in the computer. Very, very different. එතකොට we have to find a system which really works in our brain. Then it's easy for us to do things, Right. අපි බලමු මොනවාද මේ second brain එක එක්කිනා කියන්නේ. ඉස්සෙල්ලා creative collection of valuable knowledge. So if we have to have it, like if you want to go beyond what we do, as an example, if you want to write a New York bestseller, I think we have to use some technique like that. If you want to do a Nobel Prize in research scholarly work, I think so to go to the extra mile, you can obviously use this technique. So that's what I'm saying. Right. And create structure around the creative projects to reliably move them forward. So and the next thing is we need a lot of creativity, because creativity is the only method that is reversing of productivity. Some of the times there are dull days where we might not be able to do our research, write our paper, work on our research. So then the best answer would be creativity. So that's very important. So remember, all these said things will be there in this tool called Rome Research. I'll come to that very quickly. And reduce stress and anxiety. So that's another one. You'll surely see how it really helps you in the process. And also improve your thinking. This is, I think, the most important part. Creative thinking will come like as a added benefit in this new model. Right? So we are going to talk about a completely new model of sharing your thoughts in the written format. And clarity and peace of mind. So that will come because you will have the same brain copy in the tool Rome Research, and know exactly where to find all the files. So searching system is pretty neat. So that's where how Rome Research works. Right. So rather than going through a lot of slides, let me take you to Rome Research and give you how all these things works. So then you can come back and we can have a discussion also how valuable this is. So this is actually Rome Research. Rome Research, we can have an app like this. Right? So we can have an app like this. It's a very it's like Google in the early days. Google load කරාම මුකුත් තිබ්බේ නෑනේ, just search අර page එක විතරනේ තිබ්බේ, search box එක විතරනේ. මේ ගොඩක් කට්ටියට මේ Rome Research එක අල්ලන්නේ නැත්te මේක මේකේ හරි නිකන් දැන් මේක ඇලි මෙහෙමත් නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්, මේකත් නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මෙන්න මෙච්චරයි තියෙන්නේ. දවස තියෙනවා එච්චරයි, nothing else. Right? So it looks very empty. So you feel bit of confused and anxious. Okay, where to do, what to do, and all that. Right? So this is how it works. But this is actually my graph. So when you buy a kind of a login, it's like not a login, subscription, it's like $140 per year, not very expensive. You get 3 graphs. So what I do is I create one graph for me, which is my own brain activities, and I have one graph for our SLIT staff if anyone wants to practice it, and there's another graph for my students. So these are not interfering each other. So it's a lot of fun. You can use it. Right, so collaborative research work, it's highly valuable. So anyway, now let's go and see what's happening here. Okay, now this is the first thing to understand. This is a note-taking tool, so you can of course take. This is my. I hope that you can see what I'm doing. This is my first note. So and then of course you can either write in the same level. I have been doing this for few months. Likewise, I can continue, and then I can say today I am doing this presentation covering following. Just to keep a quick tab on things are clear, so you all can see my screen and can hear me, right? Just to double check. Thanks. So today I'm doing this presentation covering following. So of course this is like Word or I don't know, Evernote or whatsoever, very easy. You put a tab and you can say Rome intro, second brain, and okay, sorry about my spelling, and likewise I can go like this and anytime I can go back and then I can maybe I can fold this. So I can have very long notes, but you can do this toggling feature. And if I wanted to only work with this one right now, I can right click and say focus on this block. So I'm just working on this block, that's all. If I want to go back, so it's a very simple system. And also I believe that you heard about this concept called deep work. Shallow work and deep work is another mental model. So deep work is a model where you are not anytime you are not being having any trouble for work, you don't get any notification, you'll stop your notification in your MacBook or in phones and everything. You have very simple screen like this. Normally like for writing you have this for researchers, And of course you can have this thing called, I don't know how many of you heard, how many of you heard about this Pomodoro timer? Anyone here? Yeah, so this is actually a tool we use for deep work. So what you do is you set a time like 30 minutes, and then what you do is, now say you haven't had anything like this, okay, you can delete all this and you can say start, and then you don't get any extra external world notification, nothing, your phone and everything is out. You just work for 30 minutes, complete isolated, and your mind is completely focused on this. So some people just use Rome research just to do this. You have a very bright white color screen and you can just keep writing on and on and on. So this is something why people simply use Rome research, but this is not the point that I wanted to talk about. But this is Rome research can be used obviously to do deep work. So deep work, if you read, there's another book on deep work, very, very interesting. Please read it. As academics, I think it's really valued, highly valued. Right, so that is Pomodoro timer. Okay, now I'm going to introduce you why people use Rome research, what is how the magic done in Rome research. Right, so this is how one of the biggest features of Rome research. So now let me do this. So I'm going to, now I told you about that concept, the problem that we face. Our brain is not cabinets, not files, no folders, no categories. Our brain is just a brain with all these concepts, right? All these concepts. And you know, you get so many of those concepts per day. Do you know how many thoughts go across in your mind in a single day? Any idea? Any rough figure? කවුරු දන්නවනම් කියන්න පොඩ්ඩක්. මොකද අපිට මාතර හිතනවා. මම දැන් ලේඩීස් වලට වැඩි හිතනවා වැඩි කියලා කියනවා. මම දන්නේ නැහැ ඒක ඇත්තද කියලා. Right? Any wild guess? අපි කවුද ඉන්නේ අද? Anyone? Anjali, any thought? Anjali ඉන්නනේ. කීයක් වගේ එනවද කියලා හිතනවද නේ දවසකට? Sham, any idea? Yeah, it's a bit less than million. My question was, how many thoughts come across in your mind a single day? Come and go. Okay, you'll be amazed. This is scientific research have backed up this. 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts in a single day on a normal rational human being, right? Yes. So Professor Kohli said 1 million, so it's a bit away, but anyway, somewhere in middle. So, and that does mean 35 to 48 thoughts per minute. You get amazed maybe. So that's why probably doing meditation is so hard, right? So, so like 35 to 48 per minute. Maybe it differs from Caucasians to, I don't know, these different types of people. But yeah, so this is some research work that they have done on the fact. So my thing is, again, come back. So in our brain, it's very difficult or different how we organize our thoughts. So I think you all know when I mentioned this word, our human brain works like a graph. Nice. So I think there can be a lot of people here who learn about graph theory, right? So graph is a very unique data structure, right? Which is very similar to what we have in our brain. Anytime you can stop me and we can discuss. So our neural network is also a graph. I think the best person to talk about is Professor Kohli. Professor Kohli, am I right? So the basic data structure for neural network, I think, should be a graph, right, sir? Yeah. So so what happens here in Rome research, that we build a graph. So we'll see how to build a graph now. So I'm going to copy some content from some article. So we'll try to find an article quickly about knowledge management, machine learning. Okay, so let me find this article. So actually I had to write one, but it's easier for me to take a copy like this, right? Okay, so I'm going to copy paste this one, and I'm going to work on this. Yeah, so I'll come here. So say I'm going to write this. So when I'm writing this, what I'm going to do, say after graduating university back in 2009, I started a job in local startup as a machine learning engineer. So this machine learning part is important for me. So what I'm going to do is, in Rome there are this tool that we use called square brackets. So I already have that one. Anyway, I'm just going to put it as square brackets. So when you're writing, it's very easy. Say I can say something like, if I'm writing this one, I can say today the topic is about Rome research, Rome. So before I'm going to write this, I'm going to put two brackets like this and say Rome. So actually I have Rome already in my graph, so I'm going to say Rome, and that's all. So similarly, if there's a copied one, I can say then there can be some interesting words like learning. So I'm going to highlight it, two double quotes, I create a new link, right, or new page. And of course, when I'm reading, YouTube is something interesting for me. So I know about YouTube, so I'm going to create another page. It's already there, it's okay, it automatically get created. And knowledge management is another important one for me. So a new one probably, I'm going to add that one, right? So I have to make sure spelling is correct, knowledge management, right? And then okay, I'm going to say more specifically, okay, information is here, so I'm going to add another square bracket. Okay, when I press enter, now all the specific words I created as another element in this particular node will be created in my knowledge graph. So if I want now, I can simply click on this machine learning and I can go there. So at the moment, this is a new page called machine learning in my Rome research, and it has an empty slot because I haven't written anything about machine learning. So if needed, I can write what is machine learning. So if I can quickly grab a definition for machine learning. Okay. So what is machine learning? So let me find something like this, right? So I come back. So I have a definition, and at the same time I have one reference. As you can see, this is something called one link reference. So in my Rome research, one day I have written a note about including something related to machine learning. So anytime if I go to this particular topic called machine learning, it has several references. This is a direct reference. But see, for another moment I go back and maybe I can just delete this, and okay, let me start a new one, right? So I'm going to write another note. I have learned this time I'm not going to refer it machine learning to my PhD or for my PhD, whatever, right? PhD, something like this. I have a note. Now if I go to machine learning again, right, you can see, okay, so the unlinked references will come in. Okay, I have few. So this is actually, as you can see, one link reference. So this one is automatically, as you can see, in August 12th, this particular note, this is the name of the note, I have linked machine learning, right? But if I go to machine learning, that is shown, but then there can be several unlinked references. So I have machine learning word here in this note, which is actually the same note. And then I have used machine learning, which is a node that I have created for federated learning. If I go to federated learning, in this also there is this word called machine learning, right? Likewise, I have all these other places where I use machine learning. So there's another one which we are doing, trustworthy ML. So there the machine learning term is used. So if I needed, what I can do is I can link it now. So now in my machine learning definition, I have two references already. So if I wanted to now say I want to complete this node, guys, what I have to do is get this one. I can do, don't worry too much about it. I might go a bit fast here. Shift click. Now I have a complete node, maybe taken from a book, taken from a video, taken from a research paper. So I can make my notes by looking at it. So now you have to understand is it's so easy for you to develop your, assume this is a research paper you're writing, you can put all your research references here, this one, and there's another one, see there's a paper. So all these things are there, right? Now I have every other reference here, and anytime I can copy paste with references, right? So I can keep continuing writing my paper without any problem, because I know exactly this is what's in my brain. Sometimes you can, without even having this section, right, මේ section එක නැතුවම ඔයගලන්ට, I think here all people have done, like, all done, I mean, great research, right? So I don't want to explain how to do research here for this crowd, right? So but you understand now, if you took probably 1 hour to write that particular section, now you can do it within 2 minutes, because all what you need is here at the right hand side, and all connected things, right? And if you want, you can have just copy paste here, or there's something called alt drag, where even say you want to change some of these topics, I can click on alt. I'm not going to talk about too much about these things. I can alt drag here. When I change in this, even your previous note also would change. Is that clear, everyone? I think this is one of the major things, because you don't have this facility in any other toolkit, because it's not connected. Your concepts are not connected. And when you're writing a journal paper, literature paper, there are so many things that you need, knowledge, extracts to come here. So you have to have all these things open this. So it takes time. But this is smart note taking, as I said. This is very smart, because now you have all your content at your fingertips, right? Of course, if you use two screens, it will be much easier. You have a larger space, but this is also okay. It is not something that you will miss at any point. Hope it's clear. And also, you can any item, anything that you don't need, you can filter it out. Now see some of those things, adversarial behaviors, information, those things you can filter out if you want to. So all these facilities are there. Right, so you can include them. So everything, it's like your brain-like structure. Any questions up to this point? Thanks. Right. Okay. Now we'll go back to where we were initially. So this is what you do, and what you are supposed to do is just keep writing. Every day you keep writing. Right? So when you have a new paper, read it here. I'll show you how to work in a paper here in Rome itself and build up your notes. Because now I think everyone knows here there are a lot of experienced senior researchers here. When you write research papers, you make your notes. Maybe sometimes the paper itself. But now you did it once, but you have to do it again. Now, do you have to keep your papers as bulk copies? No, just put it here with the reference in here. So you can use Word, even Mendeley or Zotero. It's too much of work, right? Copying here to there, there to there. So it's a lot of work. But having everything here would make your lives much, much, much easier. So that's one thing. So let me show. I told you in the starting point, okay, what is the value of this? Because you try to understand. End of the day, guys, you get this great graph. My one is not great because I've been experimenting with this. So this is the graph that you are getting. It's not very clear, sorry about it. But you now see there are some points. Say as an example, some of the nodes are like super nodes. Right, so we can get a course layout if you want to. This is my brain at the moment. Very, I would say, confusing brain what I'm having. But if you do research right, if you do it right, I think you can get a very organized brain, right? So you can, even if you'll understand you have a very inorganized brain. Make inorganized make a dakapu with theater, but maybe like I know this is very inorganized because I've not been doing it properly according to the method. But now what I'm telling you is the exact method used by a lot of researchers around the world, right? So yeah, so now what you know is some of the times you can easily know graph super nodes. As an example, if it's the Bollywood graph, may super nodes Shah Rukh Khan and these guys, Amitabh Bachchan and all these guys. So if you wanted to get through the network, you have to touch in a super node in very like an informative graph theory wala mang hitanne eka basically concept එක බලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඊට අමතරව you have what you call as the bidirectional links. So the magic is actually, technically speaking, is bidirectional links. So everything is connected to everything else, right? Whatever the things, right? So having this graph, you can do all those interesting queries, so there's so much of things that I cannot cover in a maximum 1 hour session here. Probably will not be going to 1 hour even, right? So but remember, so sky is the limit for this tool, right? So now this is what you are getting. So obviously with you're going to your notes, you can connect with any of those already created content. But remember, a value of tool like Rome Research grows with the time. So today you have few elements here, and probably a few weeks after, few months after, you are growing your brain. Your brain you're copying here. That's why I told you this is called second brain. So when you do that, I think you come to a point where you find everything that you want to work. As an example, when you're writing your particular statement saying the specific ML technique called federated learning. So I want to just give federated learning, it's already there. So I don't want to now federated learning. I can keep continuing the statement. So at that particular point, maybe I'm not really sure what I want to write. So I can just shift click. I get my federated learning section here. So I can just have a quick look at it, and if I can take things from here if you want to, and then start writing. So that's a beautiful method of writing. And now as an example, so what we wanted to do in our CIS research group, write our grant paper using this, adding everyone into one graph. So just imagine as few researchers, 10 researchers, filling concepts into a one Rome graph. You get amazed, because I have seen, I'm actually in a particular international research group. They do meet every month, and there are actually, I'm actually probably the poorest researcher there, right? So these guys are beyond our expectation, and that research graph, they say valued more than $1 million. That's how they say it, because it has content which has written, the authentic content, not copied content. They say don't copy anything. There's a way of copying, I'll tell you the method. But normally what they do is, good or bad, you have to start, they have some rules also when you do a collaborative research work in Rome Research. But at one point, they are even keeping the value up and up every day. So at this particular moment, after a few months, they are saying they have graph worth $1 million. It's a private graph, and they are doing a lot of research work based on that. Few people are writing a book on that graph. So that's basically the concepts that they are using. It basically breaks the rules of academic research and also the other related activities. So hope it's clear. So let me go back to the slides again and come back and show you a few magical tips that you can do work on this Rome research. But before that, can you please let me know if there's any questions? Is that at least just I want to say this idea, is that idea clear to all of you? Oh yes, yes. Exactly. Yes, yes, of course. Thanks, Mita. So I think we can do, as researchers, we can do knowledge-related research, knowledge management research using, we can do assessments, give assessments to students, and we can do crazy stuff with this. I think there's a huge research area on cognitive science, cognitive behavior science, and knowledge management related things. I'm not expert on any of those areas, but I think there are a lot of people here who are really expertise on this. So there can be several experimental-based research we can do on a system like Rome Research. So let me quickly go through. These are some of the examples. It's basically, they say networked thought. So that is useful for a single person or even thousands of people together. So they can do a lot of work, even like grant proposal writing and many more things. And this is a case where I think in Twitter, if you go through, there's a huge amount of people who are interested in this. Actually, there's a cult. You know what are cults? So there's a cult who are really, they let go every other thing. I know one guy who doesn't use any more tools these days, only just use everything, live, breathe, and everything, do everything on Rome. Because you can do if you want to. Because you don't need Word, you don't know PowerPoint, you don't need anything else to do. Even you can do even I don't know, even reading books, you can do it on Rome Research. So these are extremists, of course, but yes. Then of course you can get your knowledge graphs like this. So we talked about it, and this is what you're creating is a second brain. So I think this is where the world is heading. So everything is connected. And I think there are this automation also we can do. This is automation is a big word. So as an example, whatever you read, you can extract directly to the his one. And if you use a tool like voice memos, I can do a voice memo, and you can use a tool like otter.ai and convert it to natural language processing and store it here and do marvelous things. So there are some, I can show you the tool to do this. There are tools which can incorporate with Rome into any other things. And so there's another guy called Tiago who is using Rome in a different mental model called capture, organize, distill, and express. So you can have a dashboard as well if you want to. Right. So this is where I need to quickly introduce you Zettelkasten. Zettelkasten is a German scientist who basically revolutionized the world of note taking. So even smart noting or Sonke is lightly based on Zettelkasten's work. So please research this guy called Zettelkasten, very, very famous these days. So what they do is they say you have to take notes on 4 different steps. First step is literature notes. We all done it when you do academic research, but little different how they do it here in Rome research. Second one is take reference notes. Third one is the most important one called permanent notes. Another name is there. Some of you probably heard about evergreen notes. මේ ඉන්ටර්නෙට් එකේ තියෙනවා වෙබ්සයිට්ස් තියෙනවා evergreen කියලා වෙලා. ඒවා නිකන් ඒගොල්ලෝ assume කරන්නේ නිකන් අර මේ බඩි පැලයක් වවනවා වගේ. පැලේ වවලා තියෙනවා වගේ නෝට් එක වැවෙන්න දෙනවා. ඕන කෙනෙකුට ලියලා යන්න පුළුවන්. wiki concept පොඩ්ඩක් වෙනස් මේක. So evergreen notes කියලා search කරාම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ඕන තරම් ඉන්ටර්නෙට් එක බලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක තියෙන්නේ valuable note එකක් එයාගේ lifetime එකේම තියාගෙන යන්න පුළුවන්. As an example, if I want to learn about cognitive theory, so I can create a note about cognitive theory that will be big part of my knowledge management. So say for me, like as an example, Toastmastering is something that I can do it on because Toastmastering has several skills, attitudes, knowledge which I gather. So there can be one permanent note on Toastmastering which I'm keeping either in Rome Research or my Notion. So I keep continuing it forever. Or maybe I'm a researcher on cybersecurity. There's an area particularly called, say, I would say malware analysis. So I have a permanent note on that. Alright. But what we do is we take step by step. First we do literature notes. Then we have to keep a reference. And you can do permanent notes, then we can of course review and repeat. So this method is directly can be applied, which is used everywhere in the world now in Rome research. So I'm not going to talk too much about this, but literature notes is basically information you don't want to forget. So you read a book, read an article, read a research paper, read a journal, you extract it from your own words, you have to write it, right? So remember, tool is just a tool. It work out if you work with a model. Mental model. So that's the model that we are using for Rome research other than the graph theory, and think you will use later in your own writing and thinking. So you can have hundreds of literature notes in different topics. So this can be attached to a paper. As researchers we can do that in that way, or we can basically have your own literature notes. But remember, literature notes are smaller in size. Permanent note tag evergreen note tag පැලේ හැදලා ලොකු වෙනවා වගේ. So it takes their own time. Literature notes can have short notes. It was a reference rule එක තමයි, it should be brief, be extremely selective, it has to be given on your words, no quoting. මෙතනදී quoting පාවිච්චි මම කලින් කිව්වේ මේක කොහොමද කරන්නේ අර plagiarism නැති වෙන්න. So you read the paper, you try to build up your evergreen note, but before that you build up your literature note. අර theory එකක් විදිහට I think researcher කෙනෙක් විදිහට මේක ලේසියම හිතන අපිට පාවිච්චි කරද්දී, so rather than building evergreen notes, permanent notes, first you try to do literature notes. I think that's the best strategy to work with. So I can of course show it to you, and here there's another tool that you can use called Readwise. I'll come to that in a later stage. Readwise can completely automate everything. Web එකේ article එකක් select කරලා දැම්මහම ඔයාලට කියන්න පුළුවන් ඒකේ යන්න Rome research එකේ මෙන්න මේ කියන evergreen note එකට. A level එකට දැන් concept දියුණුයි. එකම දේ මේක අපිට හදන්න ඕනේ පොඩි automation path එකක් හදන්න ඕනේ, script එකක් හදන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම කරාම මෙතන audio book එකක් අපි අහනවා නම් audio book එකේ we have a tool where I can extract it, send it to Readwise. Readwise is natural language processes and convert it to text, and that text. So මෙහෙම කරොත් එහෙම අපේ research timeline එක, pipeline එක ඉක්මන් වෙනවා, වේගවත් වෙනවා, smart වෙනවා. Right. So then you have the reference note. Reference note එක very simple. Reference note එක කියන්නේ අපේ Harvard reference එකම තමයි. පොඩ්ඩක් වෙනස් විදිහට මේක පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. We can do as we wish. If you would Harvard, Oxford or IEEE, we can do reference, author, summary, research paper, conference, blah 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 blah. You can have it. So obviously reference notes can be there with literature notes as well as permanent notes. And then this is what Sonke is saying about permanent notes. Learning would be not so much about saving information. So that's what we've been doing on hard disk, but about building connections and bridges between pieces of information. So honestly think, whatever information you have it in Microsoft Word or OneDrive, are they linked? Or is it very remote from our brain? You can ask that question. Sonke is saying we have to connect them. So that is the advantage, opportunity we find from Rome. It's about making sure that the right cues trigger the right memory. So මේක දැන් ලියාගෙන යද්දි cue එකක් එනවා. Okay, I know this. දාන්න තියෙන word එක විතරයි. Automatically දෙක connect වෙනවා. Creative thinking, creative process and creative outcome. about how we can think strategically to remember that most useful information when we need it. Fingertips එකක් ගානේ තියෙන්නේ. ඊළඟ section එක වාට අවශ්‍ය information එක ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක නවත්තන්න කිසිම හැකියාවක් නැහැ. That's what Sonke is saying. So this is what Sonke is saying in his book, but this is what being implemented in Rome research. ඉතින් මේක තමයි permanent note එක තියෙන්නේ. අපිට permanent note එකට ලොකු reference එකක් දාගන්න පුළුවන් reference note එකක් විදිහට. Okay, then of course hereafter the things that we can do like add keywords. I'll come to that. Any questions before I go to the probably the last section? It's been almost 40 minutes now. Any questions? Hope it's all right. Okay, so then the rest of it is that the magic that is having. So Rome can be converted to something magical. So as an example, I know some of you have been doing, so this is basically things out from research even, but can be very useful. I'll quickly go through these tips, but of course if you want to go more on this, we have to have a second day of discussion on this. But say as an example, if you somebody who are willing to write a journal in the morning, what happened yesterday, what is really happening in your life, if it's a good thing for you, if you have been doing it and finding the value of it, it's very easy to do it in Rome. So you can write scripts and already keep templates and say as an example, I have few templates, my daily notes, my evening notes, weekly review, and there's a great one called Eisenhower matrix and evergreen notes, transient notes, and my checklist and things like that. So I'm going to say just click on this my daily notes. Okay, it automatically fill in or comes gives what I have to write in the morning. So when I get up, I have to do this. So morning check-in, I say so this can be a bit fancy, but it makes some valuable questions to you. Okay, have I slept enough? Okay, energy level, okay, this is good. Mood, okay, that's good. And also what's in your mind do. So this is like basic stuff, you know, like what you do every day. But when you keep doing it, the value of doing it in Rome is that you are connecting everything. So now I would say I want to write the paper on forget about my spelling here, paper on federated learning research review, something like that. So when I doing that, I automatically creates my knowledge base. So next day I have a new page for this. So likewise, I can answer all these questions: primary objective, what I'm doing, my daily habits. Okay, I can do a checklist as well if you wants to. Okay, right. So likewise, I can have agenda if you wants to, daily task, and say you're done for the day. So there's a lot of that you can do, and then in the evening you can of course get your evening tasks, right? So my evening notes. So again, what's happening is you are building because your experience now get into your knowledge graph. So everything that you do in your life get into a knowledge graph. I hope that's clear to you. So if you want to do something like this, it's very easy. So this is where I take you to the knowledge graph which I created. If you want to practice this, so I'll quickly go here. I already created the knowledge graph called Life Revamp. So actually there's no one here, but this is a separate graph clearly. So let me show all my graphs just to make it clearer. So I have 3 graphs at the moment. So if you are interested, you don't have to pay anything. You can just start working on this. I have one graph here which I'm using, and there's another one I created for our research at SLIT, and there's another one for student. So I'm going here, and if anyone is interested, let me know. If you of course if you have the interest, you can go and buy this. It's like $145 per year. Not a big deal, but if you really wanted to share, let me share the graph to you, so you can basically have a bit of a fun with it. And actually, like we are doing for other research group, our CIS research group, we are actually now starting to write a grant paper here itself. So because this is open stuff, anybody just writing not their personal stuff but about their research. So let me know please if you are interested. I can I just wanted to go here and just share the graph, then you can just work for free. So if anyone is interested, please let me know. I'll just check the chat. I haven't seen anyone sharing. Yeah, if anyone wants, I can just another quick, I want to do a quick share only, right? So now as an example, I want to have a research paper, I have to read the research paper, right? And I wanted to create a template. So what I have to do is I have to say Rome templates. So there's a specific place where I can go and put my format. So I can put it here. Let me copy. Actually, there's a, if you are interested in this, there's a particular site where you have a lot of templates. This is Heikel blog. There are many templates like this. I have even taken it from there. So you can have this in journal format and everything. So I can quickly create one. So let me copy it from my template store. Sorry, ROM. Okay. So I can copy something like probably I'll take something much easier. Okay, something like this. So this can be easily what we do use for our research paper. So now I'm going to tell you the next section. Probably I'll take another maximum 10 minutes, 5 minutes to show this, then question and answers. So I'm here in this ROM templates. So let me create my note saying research paper review note, and then I can put the thing here. So this is the RP review. I can get a page for that as well. Then I have the author, probably the year of publication, and the category, and then the URL if you have highlights or maybe whatever that you use in the Harvard referencing, right? The page numbers and everything. All that I can put. So now it's automatically created a template. So I can go back to my daily notes, and I'm saying I'm reviewing. I have a new page called review paper 1, right? So I can have a different naming system. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go there and I'm going to put 2 colons here, and then I have that template. I just need to load up. So then what I'm doing is, the next step is very easy. So let me bring down a paper from Google Scholar. Then I would search for machine learning, knowledge management, something like that. Right, so I can get a paper quickly. Okay, and then what I do, so there are better methods of doing this. I'm just showing you a very quick and dirty method. Right, so let me open it here. Let me, okay, so let me drag and drop it here. So I can upload the paper. So there are many other plugins and things that you can use. So what I can do now, I can even resize this, and what I should do, I can shift click, right, and then I can put it to this side. So let me say paper 1. Okay, so just put, right, so I can make some notes as well. I can then put it to this side. Okay, so I have a small issue. Okay, so I get the paper here. So then what I can do is, assuming now I have to make my notes here. So this side I have the paper. Right, so you can remove this part. Right, so then I can resize this. So there are tools actually to get this done very easily. And then you can probably enlarge this, and what you can do is, now you can actually, if you want, you can copy paste as well, but if not, you can do highlighting, and where you can write your notes here. So that paper review with all the details, and not only, remember, you're not only just writing your notes, but you're filling or developing your knowledge graph as well. Financial can be something useful, and wireless sensor network can be useful. Everything get linked up. So the next day when you're doing your paper, you click on that link, you get not only the papers, reviews, every other thing, connections, references, everything in a one single place where I can do things really, really, really fast. So, and also there are plenty more things, guys. So as an example, I don't have time to do this. There's a Chrome plugin. From there you can get so many things. As an example, you can have Vim-like navigation also. Vim and VIM in Linux, that's possible. And if you wanted to have so you can have many things like spatial graph sidebar, where you can get these nodes flying around everywhere. So sky is the limit to do what you can do with creativity. Okay, so I think with the short time, this is the best I can show you. But really, in summary, what I wanted to say is our brain, we develop knowledge in a very different structure. It's not folder, it's not cabinet format, it's very unique format. It's a neural network, it has a knowledge graph. So what they have done using this method from Sonke and Sattelkasten, they have developed it using graph theory to a very simplistic model. And then you have this bi-linking facilities, and then that can be used to do any type of reading and writing, sorry, any type of writing. But the cool thing is, here you need to have a model when you're trying to use it. Something like Sattelkasten, you have literature nodes, you have reference nodes, and you have permanent nodes. And all your knowledge graph will grow day by day. And for collaborative research work, this is most fascinating thing that is in the whole wide world right now. And also you will find a lot of creativity comes in when you're dealing with this particular graph. So that's in summary. And anyway, if you need to work in this tool, let me know, or you can simply buy this one. Thank you so much. If there any question, I'm like sorry that if I took a bit more time. So if you have any question, of course we can have a separate discussion on day. I can do a complete demo on how to do things very productively, because I've been doing it for some time now, but really wanted to give the insight and just to give you that idea behind the whole thing, operation. But of course this is a huge concept altogether. If you go to there are several good references if you want to learn it. So I can share this one, of course. Give me a second. So if I share this awesome Rome research thing, I can share it now with everyone. And if you go through all the notes and everything will be there, guys. So you can get everything. Yeah, so I can share everything. You can find everything there. Right, and of course courses and some articles and demos and everything will be there to see. Okay, thank you so much. If there's any question, I can answer you. Thank you. Mr. Kohli, there's a one called Obsidian. So the only thing is, like, what happens here, this is like this can be free if you use in local graphs. So I can show it to you quickly. Let me share my desktop again. So if you go to hope you can see it now. So if I go to my dashboard, so just give me a second. So there are options here. Give me a second. Yeah, so there are options where so in the graphs, these are all hosted graphs. Actually, that's the reason why they are getting some money. But if I create a local graph, so that we can do for free. So you can say I have a graph, my local knowledge base. So then you don't have to pay, because it will be in my machine. So I can create any number of this sort of local graphs, but hosted graphs, because they are using their space to do it, they are actually like we have to do buy a subscription. And also at the same time, if there's a one researcher paying for this, you can have any shared graphs. So I can only have 3 shared graphs, but any number of people can use it. So they don't have to pay a single cent. That's why I say if anyone wants to just practice this, I can share to you. Exactly. Yes. True. Only thing is that you have to. Yes. So you have to use it in your own computer. One computer. That's. Yes. Exactly. and they can have it everything stored here in their software itself. Yes, exactly. Yes. OneNote, and there's this other very famous tool called Evernote where I can add videos, images, and everything. They're all the same, but here the difference is you have this other facility of creating the graph where everything can be linked together. Y- Yes. Yes. True. Thank you then. Thank you so much, everyone. Yes.